Hey gang, Mike here, Professional Security Journal. Once again, we're coming back. I literally just stopped recording the previous video, and we're hitting recording. We're starting into this video. There's a lot to talk about at body armor, as you can see. I am using my OBS streaming software to make these videos and screen share myself in the corner and screen share my web browser. I didn't realize that the previous video went on for a freaking half hour, and I've covered very little. I covered very little of what I want to talk about. So. We're going to continue. We're just going to continue on. We're just going to keep on rolling. So as far as my sticky note topics go, I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see that, but yeah, you guys aren't going to be able to see that. Sorry. Not when I'm like full sharing. Not when I'm doing these OBS screen shares. But yeah, I've got a laundry list of topics that I wanted to get through, and for God's sakes, I talked for half hour, didn't even know it. So moving on. So when I killed the last video, I was talking about soft armor versus hard armor. All right, so we covered it in Sean's live, soft versus hard. Generally speaking, you're not going to get into rifle protection until level 3. And at that point, armor starts to get hard. You will start at level 3. We'll start to get into hard armor. Now, you have to do a very serious, once again, touching back to the previous video, you have to do a very serious threat assessment of your post, where you're working security at. Are you really going to be dealing with long guns? If not, I would implore you to stay 3A and below. But if you have even the remotest possibility of dealing with long guns, yeah, you got to look at 3. And if you even think you're going to be dealing with AP rounds, armor penetrating rounds, if you think you're going to be dealing about these green tips that me and Sean keep bringing up, if you're going to be dealing with green tips, you have to go straight to the top of the NIJ certification of level 4. You got to go straight to the top of the standards and go level 4. Level 4 is the only thing that will take those 855 green tips. 4 will defeat green tips. Nothing below 4 will take green tips. So if you even think you're going to be dealing with 855s, got to go straight to the top, of the list. Anyways, so yeah, I'm going to be breezing through. I think I got 2 or 3 articles in the window without looking at things. I think I got 2 or 3 articles. I have a new tab. I have a blank tab open up in this window. Basically, that's my video topics. So what does soft body armor stop? We're going to go through this real fast. I just totally clicked out of my video, the actual when it being captured. So yeah, once again, level 3 body armor and higher is typically hard. 3A and below is usually soft. 3A are like your 3A is like your higher power calibers, higher power handgun rounds. So soft body armor is generally more comfortable, more flexible, more easily concealable. Hard body armor is heavier and more rigid, but again, we're dealing with long guns. We're dealing with rifles and shotguns there. Now, I have to do a more in-depth research beyond these videos. So there'll be a video that I kind of come back to regarding rifles and shotguns, because I believe some of those standards, some of those levels that I talked on in the previous video, I thought I read a long while back, like 2 years back, like 2 can do some shotgun or something. I gotta do more research. So that'll be another video topic for you guys. We'll basically get into we'll come back to body armor maybe in like 2 weeks or so. You know, the week after Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the week after this security schedule. I might come back to this next week and deal with long gun ballistics. When I talk long gun, by the way, it's a law enforcement terminology. When I talk long guns, it's a catch-all term for rifles and shotguns. Now, obviously, we've already covered rifles, okay? We know rifles, it's 3 and above, level 3 and above. But shotguns, I thought some 2, or maybe it was 3A, I thought some shotgun rounds were within the 2s and 3A. I don't know. I got to do research for shotguns. So we'll come back to long guns in the future. Anyways. So, yeah, soft body. What does soft armor stop? This is 3A. Okay, actually, see? No, never mind. We don't even need to do that. 3A will take 12 gauge. And as you can see here in this very fine print, to the velocity specified by the NIJ .06 standard, which will be a 80-page document that I'm going to be dropping in my Google Doc for you guys in regards to this is what the NIJ uses. This is the official NIJ government document. This is the handbook they use. The handbook is on their website. Now, I'm actually going to zoom in because I want to emphasize this. Safe Life Defense has that 3A plus, 3 plus, whatever the hell it is. 3 plus is not an NIJ standard. That is not an official industry level. 3 plus is something these gobbledygooks and Safe Life and other companies. 3 plus is something these gobbledygooks use for their marketing, for their shady business practices, for their sketchy practices. We'll call it that. The 3 plus, as far as this Premier Body Armor article goes, the plus you see in 12 gauge there, that indicates the armor has been successfully tested against rounds outside the NIJ standard of .06. All right, so 12 gauge may not, 3A may not take 12 gauge. You don't know. That's why I'm making these videos, guys. Body armor is so important. It's what we wear to save our lives, for heaven's sakes. It's what we wear. And there's a lot of snake oil. There's a lot of... I'm trying to tone down on my cursing moving forward, but I'm going to say it. There's a lot of bullshit out there in body armor, guys. I'm trying to make these videos to cut through the bullshit to help you guys out. So anyways, I digress. So 3A, 12 gauge. So benefits of soft armor. Again, most concealable body armor, make it easily a blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can wear it under your shirt, whatever. And yeah, they make backpack panels. Backpack panels exist. Safe Life throws their marketing out because they make frass backpack panels. Anyways. Yes, and then they do make concealable body armor. They do make actual t-shirts. These are t-shirts basically with plate pockets. So you're wearing a shirt with armor integrated into it. But yeah, I would not do that. Scrolling through this article, I would not do that. Body armor right up against the skin? Oof, dude. With me and my eczema, man. Damn. Alright, so drawbacks to soft armor. It limited protection against edged weapons or blunt force trauma. That is actually a good caveat. We're going to segue away from this. We're going to sidetrack away from this topic real fast. About soft versus hard. There is a spike slash... That's funny. I meant to say slashes when you're typing. Something slash something. I can't use that here. Spike versus slash. When we're talking about edge weapons and blunt force trauma, there are NIJ standards for... I hope I'm going to make sense here. Spike slash slash. Spike slash slash. There are spike slash slash resistance standards. And the NIJ does make a edged weapon standard, along with the .06, because the .06 is ballistics only. When we're talking about protection against shivs and stuff, there's an NIJ standard for that as well. Basically, there's an NIJ, again, I know I'm just repeating myself going in a circle, but the .06 is ballistics, it's bullets. But they do make a .06. They do make a .06 standard for edged weapons, for, your stabby stab, for your pokey pokes. And when I was in the previous video alluding to those secondary plate pockets, that's actually what we're talking about when we're talking about edged weapon protection. They make secondary plates for your spiky spikes. So if you think you're going to counter spiky spikes, you want to throw the spike plate. You want to throw that secondary plate in front of your ballistic, in front of your soft armor or whatever you're wearing. That's generally what's accepted. So yeah, okay. So we get into stopping power levels. All right. So yeah, 3A will do 12 gauge, and then again, as we've talked on previously, A level 3 is when you start getting into your 7.62s and this and that. Level 3 plus. 3 plus looks like it'll be 5.56. Oh, but again, 3 plus is not an NIJ level. 3 plus is something the industry, more or less, certain body armor manufacturers, certain body armor companies, 3 plus is something they made up on their own. But 3 plus is basically it's what's referred to as special threat. 3 plus are your special threat plates. Special threat plates, though, aren't like an NIJ thing. It's not. You won't find that on the NIJ level list. So just kind of scrolling through this real quick. Okay, backface deformation. That's a topic that I want to get into. I have some tabs in this window for that. The backface deformation. It is a phenomenon that can occur when a projectile strikes body armor. Basically, without reading too much further, to my understanding, BFD, as it's referred to, BFD is when the bullet actually hits you. How much of your armor, how much of those layers of Kevlar or whatever material, aramid, polyethylene, whatever, how much of your vest material is going to actually hit you? How much of the back face of that plate is going to actually deform, press into you? How much are you going to feel? So, yes, reading further. While BFD may not be harmful, can lead to injury if the deformation is severe enough to cause blunt force trauma to the wearer's body. Oh, yeah. Like, technically, you can stack armor. You can throw 2 plates together and be able to defeat, say, 7.62. I'm just throwing in a random caliber. I'm sure I'm wrong. If you actually try and poke a hole in that, you're gonna, that argument can be defeated. But theoretically speaking, I have heard of people stacking plates together. So you get two level 3 plates in the same vest, and then I got 7.62 protection. Yeah, but you're gonna feel that, motherfucker. That BFD is gonna be a bitch. You're wearing 2 freaking plates, my guy. If that bullet hits you, that bullet's gonna press. You're gonna be feeling 2 plates on your chest. You are gonna feel that, and you're gonna get knocked on your ass. But you're gonna get knocked on your ass no matter what. If you take a shot, you're gonna get knocked on your ass no matter what. Most likely. That's why, again, just straying away from body armor real fast. In training, if you're wearing body armor, simply put, guys, be prepared to be knocked on your ass. And I train to shoot while I'm knocked on my ass. So I train. Camera's not gonna probably capture me, but if I'm knocked on my ass, if I go down, I train to shoot from unconventional positions. Basically, I train to shoot like laying down, or like, I get knocked on my ass, I go flat down, I sit up and I'm firing. I sit up and I'm firing. You gotta train for this stuff. So body armor, knocked on your ass. Training caveat. Anyways. So yes, you can get what are called trauma pads with armor to help lower the risk of injury, which are those secondary secondary plates that I keep alluding to. Trauma pads are additional layers of protective material that can be placed behind the armor. So, depending on what vest you guys choose, and again, this is so much goes into body armor. I didn't even realize I went a half hour last video already, and I covered very little of what I want to talk about. So, if you've got a good vest carrier, theoretically, you can get a slash pocket, a stabby stab pocket. You can get a stabby stab pocket in front of the plate. You can have your actual ballistic plate, and then you can have a trauma pad behind your ballistics. If you get a vest carrier that can accept all of that, you have to know the max thickness of what your armor can take. So theoretically, if I got a vest carrier that can accept inch thick, all right? I'm just using this for context so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm dealing with 1.0. My vest carrier can take 1.0. I get a 0.25. I get a 0.25 stabby stab. I get a 0.25 NIJ slash resistant stabby stab plate. So 0.25. Then I get a ballistic plate that's 0.5. All right, we're at 0.75 of our 1.0. So I got my stabby stab. I got my bullets. Then I'm gonna get a .25 trauma pad that'll go behind my ballistics. Now I'm 1.0. Now I got stabby stab, I got guns, and I got trauma pads behind my gun, behind my ballistics to help with that BFD, to help with that back face deformation. You want to make sure the BFD is not going to be too much for you, which goes into armor, which goes into plates, knowing your manufacturer, knowing the manufacturer's BFD. That's basically what I'm trying to get at with as far as this BFD topic, what we're talking about. BFD, you need to know the BFD of your plate, of whatever plate, whatever you're throwing in your armor, whatever plate you're buying, you need to know the BFD of that. That way you know if you're going to feel it, or flat out if you're going to get knocked on your ass. But I always tell people, generally speaking, if you're wearing armor, prepare to get knocked on your ass anyways, because if you take a bullet, you're going to be going down. Again, that's why you got to train to shoot from unconventional positions. You got to train to return fire while knocked on your ass. So just going through this really fast. So yeah, just this was just a short little article about that. Bulletproof Zone is a good place that I found on Reddit. Bulletproof Zone is a good vetted place. They're simply put, they're legit. This is an article from them. I'll throw this in the thing. I think I've talked on this topic enough, so I want to get into another topic. We're gonna move on. So yeah, soft body armor. Simply put, let me zoom in here. Let me blow this up. No pun intended, since we're talking stuff. Soft body armor. Pros: pistol rated protection. It's flexible and comfortable. It's thin and lightweight. Cons: it's not rifle rated. With a higher BFD. Yeah. Short shelf life. So yes, short shelf life. That's actually something I want to touch on real fast. So we talked in body armor part 1 about those warranties, the warranty stuff. So like Safe Life Defense, if you buy those red plates, their shelf life for those plates, and as a result, their warranty. Their warranties for the shelf life of the plate. Short shelf life, Safe Life Defense, 5 years. I gave kind of a compare and contrast to Stealth Armor Systems. Stealth Armor System shelf life, 8 years. Which, generally speaking, the shelf life should be the warranty. So, Stealth Armor Systems warranty, 8 years. Shelf life, warranty, 8 years. So, cons, short shelf life. Okay. So, that's the life of your soft body armor. Safe life is 5 years. We already touched on that. All right. So, oh, hey. Actually, that was kind of a good segue. So, here are my articles. Here are my actual articles on BFD. So, we'll cut all the crap out. We'll get rid of all the crap that. All right, where are we in OBS, by the way? We're 20 minutes. Fuck, see? There's so much to talk about. What is BFD? It measures the deformation of the body armor that occurs on the back side, the back face, when the bolt strikes it. How much is the armor going to give, or how deep is the indentation when the bullet strikes the front side? So, once again, simply put, BFD. How much of that back face, hence back face deformation, how much of that back face is going to actually go into you? How much blunt force trauma may you experience? BFD. Sorry, I got a runny nose today all of a sudden. Ever since I woke up, I'm like, whoa. So the standard used to measure BFD is the NIJ .06, which is what we've been talking about this entire body armor series. It's the ballistic standard. So the .06 standard that we keep bringing up, BFD does have a hand in the .06 standard. So yeah, during testing during the ballistics testing, which is actually the last event of the ballistics testing, is actually the last event of the .06 standard. So when we're talking about the .06 standard, and I talked previously about the gauntlet of testing. The ballistics, actually throwing the vest up somewhere and actually firing the vest, shooting the vest is actually the very last event within this gauntlet of testing. But for testing for BFD, they're going to fire some rounds at the body armor sample placed before a block of special ballistics clay. And then they're going to use cameras and special software, simulations. They're going to use that stuff to ensure accuracy. And then the researchers, the NIJ folks, Measure the depth of the indentation in the clay backing material behind the actual armor to determine the BFD. So BFD, I'm not sure if I should be wording it like this because I'm not sure if this is factually correct or not. But BFD essentially measures the blunt force trauma that you're going to feel. I think that's fair to say, but I don't want to be wrong, and obviously I want to be correct, but I don't want to be necessarily wrong or correct. So take that quote from me with a grain of salt. I believe, to my understanding, BFD measures blunt force trauma, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure if that's not an accurate, necessarily true factual statement, because I'm trying to give factual info for you guys. I'm trying to be thorough here. So why are NIJ standards for deformation important? Well, again, it simulates the energy transfer from the bullet to the armor and your actual body. How much of the armor is going to press into you? How much of the back face are you going to feel? So, okay, here we are. So here's some thresholds here for you. To pass the NIJ standards for BFD, it doesn't. They got a weird highlight on their website. A body armor system must not create a BFD depth greater than 44 millimeters or about 1.7, 1.5, 2 inches. Manufacturers and body armor suppliers must meet NIJ standards for BFD before it can be considered compliant and sold to law enforcement, the military, and other customers like you. Civilians, private security. So yeah, what damage can BFD cause? So what injuries can we face? Sorry, can't have my tongue there, and I'm also trying to talk fast because there's just so much crap to cover, and I'm already running long. We're already into an hour of body armor. Or just recording. I haven't even edited it or anything. So in simple terms, BFD is an injury caused by a direct impact on the body that a sharp object breaking the skin. In this case, okay, so I guess that was fair for me to say. In this case, blunt force trauma happens when the bullet's energy produces a forceful blow to the body. So yeah, backface deformation. How much blunt force trauma is our body going to experience? If a person is wearing body armor that experiences BFD, the wearer can suffer from broken bones and more severely internal organ damage in the cardiac box if BFT, as I will call it, if blunt force trauma occurs. There are various materials. I'm going to skip over this part, but there are various materials that go into plate manufacturing, body armor manufacturing. I have like 6 to 8 different Reddit topics that I cut and pasted quotes from for you guys that I may or may not get into in this video. I may have to go into a third video. Oh my god. I want to go over those quotes with you guys. So yeah, there's like polyethylene, there's aramid, there's Corbin or Corabon something, not to be confused with the ammo manufacturer, the ammo brand, but I digress. So yeah, different types of materials used. Okay, maybe I'll scroll through this real fast. Okay, so yeah, soft body armor is made from materials like Kevlar, Spectra, or Aramid, as I just alluded to. I brought up Aramid when I was just talking just now. It's designed to protect against lower velocity threats. So 2 and 2A are going to possibly have more BFD, more blunt force trauma. 3A soft armor typically is going to have a lower BFD than its level 2. You know, your 2s, as I call them, 2A and 2. 3A soft armor is typically going to have a lower deformation than the 2s. As 3A has a higher ballistic resistance, it absorbs more of the bullet's impact. It absorbs more energy, prevents it from actually deforming, pressing into our body. Rifle-rated armor. So yeah, hard armor are your materials like your ceramic plates, your steel plates, your polyethylene plates. Steel plates, caveating real fast. Do not buy AR 500. Please, for the love of God, do not buy AR 500. Poor quality control issues. Anybody serious about armor, you can tell I'm serious about armor. Anybody who hangs around in Reddit, anybody who is serious about their equipment knows AR 500, steel armor in general, very poor quality control, very poor, just very poor stuff going into like AR 500. Quality control issues, this and that. Do not get steel. Steel are for your targets, not for you. Please don't get steel. Ceramic or polyethylene. Ceramics or poly though. Good to go. That's what you want. Hard armor usually does have a higher BFD, as it does not absorb the energy of the impact. That's why nowadays we're we that's why nowadays FRAS is becoming such a big thing, because hard armor does not absorb the energy of the impact. FRAS, soft rifle rated body armor, that FRAS stuff, it does absorb the energy of the impact. It does absorb the bullet. Instead, the steel deflects the energy away from the wearer's body. I don't trust that. I just stay away from steel. Stay away from steel, please. Stay away from steel. Quality material versus adding foaming. Yes, so adding foaming is something some manufacturers will do to save weight. And because the NIJ, the NIJ folks at the labs, the .06 standard testers, they only shoot one area of the plate. They generally speaking shoot one area of the. They only shoot one area of the plate. So by adding a foam layer to the ballistics package, the body armor technically does pass the NIJ standard, but the foam is more or less giving you less coverage. Yeah, it passes muster. Your armor will meet the standard, but it's not up to par. Because sure, you pass the testing, but your armor is actually quite inferior with a foam ring. And there's an argument in the industry about, is adding this foam ring actually ethical and moral? Because you're basically, if you add a foam ring, you say, oh, our armor has X coverage. So if I'm giving you a shooter's coverage, if I'm giving you a shooter's cut style plate, but I add foam to it, I'm bullshitting you, because I'm giving you less coverage. So if you're adding foam to your armor, you're actually bullshitting your folks. You're actually bullshitting your clients, your customers. So there's a long drawn out, or there's been a long standing argument of, is this foam ring, as they call it, is this foam ring actually moral and ethical? Is it something that's okay in business? I personally say no. But that's just my opinion. That is an opinion I've made for the purposes of this video, trying to be factual. It's my opinion that I think it is wrong to add a foam layer to bullshit your customers and give them less coverage. If I'm picking on them again, if I'm Safe Life Defense and I'm giving you a shooter's cut plate, I fucking expect shooter's cut coverage. But if you're going to add foam, if you're going to manufacture your shooter's cut plate in such a way that it gives me less coverage, fuck you. If you're going to give me shooter's cut with foam, you're actually not giving me shooter's cut coverage. So again, so yeah, we talked on it already. A great way to reduce BFDs by adding that trauma pad to your behind your armor. The trauma pad is that secondary plate pocket. So yeah, as you can see here, this is an example of a vest carrier that can accept a secondary pocket. So you can see the black part there. That's gonna be where you actually stick your plate into. This one may be top loading or bottom opening. My Safe Life is bottom loading. You load the plate in from the bottom. This armor can be top loading or bottom loading. I have seen side opening as well. Side opening is a thing. But for the purposes of this video, we'll say top or bottom loading. So this, I don't know what you would call this, gray or white, this gray part, this gray square here, that's going to be your secondary plate pocket. That's going to be your trauma pad for your BFD. It's going to be your trauma pad pocket. That's going to be your trauma plate pocket. That gray part there, that's your trauma pocket. So that's the end of that article. I'm going to be throwing all of this into my Google Doc for you guys. There's so much that goes into body armor, as you can see. I'm having to chunk up videos already tonight. So yeah. Shot Stop's a sketchy brand. I stay away from them, but their articles are good. But their articles also, they kind of steal articles from others. So I generally take everything Shot Stop says with a grain of salt. And actually, Shot Stop isn't necessarily bad. It's just, I don't know how to say it. It's kind of, they're in a niche market. Their shot stop products are kind of in a they're in a niche market. I wouldn't necessarily say they're fair. Shot stops kind of in its own category. Shot stops in its own niche environment. So this is another article that I'm going to throw in for you guys into my master Google Doc body armor. If it'll pull up, oh, there it is. This is officer.com. This is a law enforcement website. This is good stuff, guys. Oh yeah, I remember that photo. If I recall correct, this photo was after the, what the hell was that called? There was a shooting either right before my shooting in Las Vegas, right before. Bleh. See pop-up stuff. Fuck you. I hate all these gobbledygooks on these websites. In Florida. Oh, it was Pulse. I think this was Pulse. So yeah, that's what I was trying to remember. I think Pulse was either right before Route 91, right before the Las Vegas shooting, or right after. I can't recall in my head. But this was the plate that a officer was wearing when they went in, and they actually took a bullet. They took a round to their helmet. So I'm sure homeboy there felt it. But yeah, so I'm just gonna throw this article in my Google Doc for you folks. Tacticon Armament. They're a very good company. They make somewhat comedy videos on YouTube, but they're actually like a big name in the call it tactical world. Tacticon are good people. This is an article from them. Again, throwing this in the Google Doc for you folks. Okay, where are we at in OBS? We are half hour. All right, so I'm gonna chunk this up. Stop recording. We're gonna go into part 3. Fuck me, did not expect to talk this long. We're gonna go into part 3, and other than that, we're gonna go into the V50 and V0 ballistic standards, and then we're gonna get into. I'm gonna be done with screen sharing after that, so you guys will see me full screen after that. If you're following along, thank you for following along. Again, this is all factual, all good stuff that I'm trying to put out for you guys. There's just so much that goes into armor, as you can see. I'm already 2 videos in today in one sitting. I'm literally stopping recording and I'm hitting recording again. So anyways, guys, feel free to follow along. Part 3 coming at you guys. Ending recording, going right into the next. So here we go.